The NWSL regular season kicks off from Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky, as we get set for Racing Louisville and Kansas City. Welcome in. I'm Josh Tolan. With me is former Canadian international Kaylin Kyle. And Kaylin, both these two teams looking for that first win in expansion history here in the regular season, finally getting back to normal as we look back at what this season's going to look like. A little bit different now with the 10 teams.
Yeah, and if we could take anything from that Challenge Cup, it's going to be exciting matches, especially with these two teams. I mean, Racing Louisville, they did not look like an expansion team. We're going to dive a little bit into that. But again, I'm just happy that the regular season's back. I'm happy that there's fans in the stands. We saw a little bit of it in the Challenge Cup, so exciting times ahead.
And for Louisville, they struggled in the Challenge Cup, did not get that win, but they were at least productive on the field. They found different players that could provide attack.
And CC Kaiser leading the line both in the offense and defensively. They actually really surprised me coming out as an expansion team. They played as a team. They had structure. They had a playing style. Really tough to break down defensively. Yes, they conceded 6 goals, but again, it was great build-up play that had to break them down. You had center back stepping up in Hendricks. I mean, that vocal leader from that back line. And really just the build-up play through the midfield. Balls coming in from the outside flanks. Balls whipped into the box. I mean, they're absolutely brilliant in that final third.
And then on the other side for Kansas City, well, familiar faces on the club. They just need to produce more goals.
Yeah, and Kansas City, I mean, one thing that's really exciting me with them is just the ability to play up through the back, through that midfield. We kind of found them at that counter-attacking style football. They're trying to switch the mindset of that. Yes, they still counter-attack. I'm not taking that away from them, but they do have that player up top, Amy Rodriguez, that will be my player to watch today because of moments like this. She's absolutely brilliant. But again, for KC, they are going to be a threat in this league this year.
Look at Racing Louisville, a bunch of new pieces coming in, but one that's really sticking out so far, CC Kaiser scored the club's first ever goal.
She really is, and it's not even the scoring ability of CC Kaiser. She leads this front line. She leads with that leadership, that mentality, that vocal leadership, and then does the defensive work, gets back into those tight spaces, and really pushes this team to success.
Well, you have a young player in CC Kaiser. On the other side, a veteran in Amy Rodriguez.
Aging like a fine wine, I will say the least. She looks fitter, faster, stronger. I don't know how she's doing it. I need her trainer. And then her ability just to score goals at a high rate. She is so exciting to watch, and I'm absolutely delighted for her.
Another exciting game coming for you right here on Twitch as both these clubs look for their first ever wins in club history. When we return, we'll have lineups and opening kick right here on Twitch. Welcome back to Lynn Family Stadium as we get set for Racing Louisville and Kansas City as we'll take a look at the starting 11. And first we'll begin with the home side, Racing Louisville and Christy Hawley. And this is going to be the 11 that he brings out tonight to go against Kansas City.
Yes, and CC Kaiser was my player to watch in this match, but this midfield unit will be the make or break to the success in order to get the 3 points here today.
And then on the other side for Kansas City and Hugh Williams, a veteran squad, and this will be the 11 he brings out tonight.
And a veteran squad as well, and Desiree Scott just sitting into that defensive midfield role. She will be a huge tool in this KC side. And then Labonte, she was brilliant in the Challenge Cup.
And then you, of course, have Nicole Barnhart in goal for Kansas City. And we are underway at Lynn Family Stadium, Racing Louisville and Kansas City, beginning the first week here in the NWSL. Josh Tolan, the former Canadian international, Kaylin Kyle with you here this evening. And it's going to be a fun one tonight as both these two teams looking for that first win in expansion history as this one is played down and it's going to be knocked away by Hendricks. Comes out wide and then brought back inside to Savannah McCaskill. Here you see those jerseys of Racing Louisville doing a good job putting together the kids for their first season as this ball is played up front. McClure with a chance, moving her way into the box. And this one's going to be played out to safety and a throw here for Racing Louisville early in the attacking.
And Racing, this is what I said in that pre-match of just how exciting this team has been. It's not that counter-attacking style football. They really try to play through the midfield, go down the flanks, get balls whipped in from outside to find players like CC Kaiser driving into that 6-yard box.
For both these clubs, really still trying to develop that chemistry. Obviously, you have Racing Louisville with the expansion side. So with that draft, they had numerous players coming over from other teams. They're still trying to gel. Meanwhile, for Kansas City, although they did have numerous players coming in from Utah, 18 in total as this is sent across to the back post, headed out. Labonta steps to her left, plays it to the back post, and then that one will find its way past. And the follow-up, good job there coming up by Bowen. Bowen will just play back to Pickett. Pickett, the first-year player out of Wisconsin. Plenty of room to work with. Just too heavy of touch, but comes to Rodriguez, bounces around, and falling on top of the ball is Michelle Beto.
Because they were all brilliant. I mean, you look at racing, and the games were very close. I mean, that first game, 2-2 versus the Pride, then 1-0 versus Washington. That exciting match, 3-2 versus North Carolina, and then 0-0 for Gotham. But again, Beto's keeping them in big games.
McClure in the channel, sends it in with the right foot. Nagasato brings it down with the left, plays it back. McCaskill. McCaskill had some time to work with that. She tried to play it over to McClure. Edmonds able to step right in front. Edmonds will now drop this back to Nicole Barnhart. Two veteran goalkeepers for both sides. You look at Barnhart, won the goalkeeper of the year in 2013, and well, for Racing Louisville, Michelle Betos did the same thing in 2015 when she was a member of the Portland Thorns. First time two expansion clubs are facing off. As this is dropped back to Hendricks. Onto the near side, Hendricks at midfield. Stepping up is Kristen Edmonds, playing it to Jenkins. Jenkins coming in over in a trade from OL Reign. She'll pause. Plays it inside to Labonta. Labonta goes back out wide, providing the width is Jenkins. McCaskill. This is sent down. Headed up by Kaiser. Kaiser we spoke about up top as this is played to Freya Olofsson. 5 years in the Swedish Professional League. Jenkins. Labonta will go inside. Pickett. Pickett trying to get by Malay. Malay brings her down, and we're going to have our first free kick of the evening.
And this goes back to that midfield battle, going to be so important in this match. I mean, both brilliant on both ends, but you look at KC, I think this is where they can really excel in this regular season with Labonta. She's been absolutely brilliant in that Challenge Cup. Desiree Scott just destroying, hanging off that back four, really breaking up play, but then she's really excelled in her playmaking ability. And then you're already seeing Pickett early on in this match taking 2, 3, 4 players on with her pace and her skill with the ball at her feet.
Great chance here for Kansas City. See A-Rod, Labonta, and Jenkins all around the ball as Jenkins will step up, trying to bend it around, and that one just wide of the frame. Good looking setup, just could not execute.
And brilliant from Jenkins. I mean, she keeps this low, hard driven. You can see the two-man wall just split there on the offensive end. Jenkins, again, keeping this one low so Michelle Betos can't see through the wall.
Jenkins, 4 goals in her NWSL career across all competition as this is brought down. McCaskill coming over in the offseason from Chicago with Yuki Nagasato. McCaskill. McCaskill towards the end line. This one takes deflection, finds its way out past the end line.
And you can see Desiree Scott already early on just doing that dirty work, that defensive work that's extremely difficult to do, supporting the fullback. So when players like Kristen Edmonds or Katie Bowen do get beat 1v1, she's there to create that 2v1 and really clean it up.
Barnhart will play it wide. Sent down the line. Louisville will drop this back to midfield. Touch pass to the outside. That's going to hit off the arm of Bowen. And now Bowen will play it forward to the halfway line. For Racing Louisville, they allowed 6 goals in the Challenge Cup. Meanwhile, Kansas City, they were tied for most in the Challenge Cup, allowing 8. That's one of the things that they're going to try to settle down here on the defensive side of things as Jenkins charges up the field. Jenkins looking to play it wide, but Kristen Edmonds had slowed up her run.
And it's not a shock to have that many goals scored against you as an expansion team, but what excites me on both ends is the ability for them to score goals and the ability of them, that build-up play. Usually you don't see that. Yes, KC is, we're calling it an expansion team, obviously a team that has now moved back to KC, but it's that building block. It's really hard to come into a team where you haven't played together in a while, or you're bringing in new personnel, you're bringing in new coaching staff, and then a really new expansion team in racing, trying to build that camaraderie, that team chemistry. It's all new players, it's new pitches, it's new stadiums, new training grounds. So both teams have been, for me, very exciting. Stats don't really tell the story of both these sides.
When we talked with Hugh Williams, he talked about how they had players coming in and out and how that was an issue. Only 5 players had played every game in the Challenge Cup. Only 3 started everyone, as this is cut down by Bowen. She'll slot it up to Labonta. Pickett. Play it outside, but goes right back to Racing Louisville, and then we'll have the trip up by Desiree Scott. Racing will play quick. Nagasato. Malay trying to turn away. Brings it back inside. This right-footed blast, and that's going to find its way into the stands.
And we didn't really have a lot of time to dive into the starting 11s. So I want to just jump to racing, because McCaskill in that Challenge Cup, brilliant. Both ends of the ball, really the team leader, the conductor for this racing side. And that's what you need. You need someone in your team when you're a new expansion side to really lead. And yes, CC Kaiser leads that front line, but McCaskill doing that dirty work, doing those 60-yard doggies, filling in the most dangerous gaps, and really being the engine of this team.
Nagasato will drop it off. McCaskill, who you just spoke of. Malay. She'll bring it back all the way to midfield. Hendricks back to Malay. Works it out wide. Patience here from Racing. Fans in attendance once again, although at a limited capacity. Simon trying to get by Jenkins. Good battle there, shoulder to shoulder. And then the late whistle and a free kick here for Racing Louisville.
And again, I'm jumping back to an expansion sign. You can see how Racing try to build up, either dropping Malay or Olafson into that back line, creating the 3, which allows those fullbacks to get high and wide, create the overloads. And again, this is where Racing's dangerous, not only playing through the midfield, but getting balls and service in from wide areas.
Another area where Savannah McCaskill is so huge, set pieces as she'll line up for the free kick. Plays it in with the right foot, back post, punched away by Barnhart. Oh, nice move by Nagasato. Pops it up into the air. McCaskill coming on with the volley. What a great move there by Nagasato to get by the defender. Unfortunately for Racing Louisville, nothing to show from it.
And it's cheeky, and this is what you want. You want experienced players. You want players to have that confidence, because you can start seeing it in that Challenge Cup, the confidence moving through the team. You could see it in the results, obviously coming off that 0-0 versus Gotham. And then again, Nagasato early on in this match, nutmegging players, trying to make something happen. It's exciting to see.
You look at Nagasato, 2019 MVP runner-up. Of course, does have a World Cup with Japan. Plenty of experience. Another player brought over to help lead this Racing Louisville squad. Just adored everywhere she's been. Now she plays it up. Chance for McClure, and Barnhart gets on top.
And you can see the different ways in how Racing build up. I know I just spoke about how they're dangerous in those wide areas, but the ability to change their point of attack, playing through the midfield, little cheeky balls like this. You can see McCaskill starting out on this right-hand side, rolling inside, and then players like McClure, Kaiser really breaking through that back 4.
And that was whistled offside against Katie McClure in her second year out of Kansas. Do have some ties with racing Louisville and Kansas City's head coach Hugh Williams. He actually coached Cece Kaiser and Addison Merrick at the youth soccer level. And then you can add in Houston Shea Groom and Haley Hansen. He's actually been in Kansas City since 1985. Good job there by Aaron Simon stepping in front of that pass. Now sends it forward. Kaiser giving chase. Played away by Taylor Leach.
And KC are going to need to really take control of this midfield. They have the players to do it. They need to live on it a little bit more and really connect that final third pass.
Good job switching sides here by Racing. Simon, though, dispossessed on the ball. Now played to Labonta. Leach will play it wide. Scott. Nice little touch pass there by McCaskill, finding McClure, trying to get around Corsi. Scottish captain doing a good job of blocking off McClure from the ball.
And Racing could really make this stadium a fortress to play in, a really difficult place. They have the fan support. It's an absolutely stunning stadium. But it's how they press as well. They press in numbers. They get 2-3 players around it. So when you do have an international experience defensive midfielder like Desiree Scott that's confident on the ball, they don't allow her that breathing room. And again, you're starting to see Racing really grow in games and build confidence moving forward.
You look at Louisville, 9 players that they took from the expansion draft, 3 draftees on the team, 2 that they found off the postseason waiver wire, 2 via trade, and either 7 from free agency or the discovery wire.
And it doesn't look like it. They don't play like it. They play with confidence. They try building up. You can see them switching the points of attack. You can see them switching how they're building up through the midfield, dropping in a defensive midfielder like this, moving wing backs up to create overloads. Brilliant to see.
Down the line, McCaskill. Corsi stepping over to help. Sent away. Millay drops it off. Simon back to Millay. She'll play it out wide into the channel. McCaskill into the area, headed away by Bowen. Millay will play it out wide to Nagasato. Bowen on her. Nagasato to her right. Repelled away by Leach. Louisville being dangerous in that final third. And now charging forward will be Pickett. Pickett with speed. Has A-Rod in the middle. Talking with Hugh Williams and Victoria Pickett, he just talks about how she can glide past players. Just showed it a little bit there. She's going to be an impact player going forward for this Kansas City squad. She can provide penetration and another good player on the ball for the rookie out of Wisconsin.
And really for KC as well, you can see the midfield battle that they're going to have. Obviously, Labonta deserves a starting 11 position. She showed that in the Challenge Cup. Desiree Scott, brilliant player defensively, is growing offensively when she's on the ball. Then you have players like Jordan Listro on the bench as well. So again, KC is building. They're building a deep bench, and this is what you want to see from, I go, quote, expansion teams. I know KC's not really an expansion. It is. We're calling it one, right? But again, just building and building players and really building a deep squad.
Look at Kansas City acquiring a majority of the contracts from Utah, 18 players in all, but also finding ways to build this team through free agency and discovery, finding 6 players. 2 draftees on the squad, and then 3 via trade. Hugh Williams, of course, the former GM of FCKC, now the head coach here in this first season. Pickett. Labonta. This one played in on the ground and knocked away by Racing Louisville. We've seen Mallory Weber play up front. We've seen her play out back in her career, but Hugh Williams thinks she's best fit up front. She She won a championship in 2017 with the Portland Thorns. Scored a goal in the Challenge Cup, her first since 2017. I think that's going to be one of the big questions for Kansas City going forward. Who's going to be that other player that provides that attack for Amy Rodriguez that can be a goal-scoring partner for Kansas City's A-Rod?
It really comes down to the midfield if you want to touch on how A-Rod can be successful. Labonta getting a little bit forward and connecting with Amy Rodriguez, making that late third midfield run. And then you have Pickett. You can already see her living on the ball, taking players on, and Desiree Scott doing that defensive work in order to allow Labonta and Pickett to get forward to support Amy Rodriguez. Because when Rodriguez is isolated, that's when you don't really see her a lot in the match. When she's alone up top, no support behind because of those wingers that have to come back and do the defensive responsibility.
Corsi. Labonta getting plenty of touches here early. Labonta, in years past, we've seen her play at the 6, but much more suited for that 8 role where she's that box-to-box midfielder. Olofsson will play it out wide. Real pops it over. Nagasato plays it in with her left foot. Headed on, and that one just glancing off the wrong side of McCaskill. Chance here once again for Kansas City on the counter. Pickett. A-Rod calling for the ball. Pickett brings it back. Jenkins cuts it back. Chance here for Labonta. Lines it up. Looking to go through on the pass, but that one cut out.
And you just see the defensive work that Racing does. I mean, they lost in that ball in transition, but still 8 players make that run back, get behind the ball, and win that ball defensively. Now it's that quick break. Can we play through the midfield? Can we try to pick up fouls like this? So they're just really starting to grow, and the tactical awareness, the vision on and off the ball, the vocal communication is really high for an expansion side, and I don't mean that in any disrespect by any means.
Edmonds goes inside to Corsi. Labonta looking to go down the line. Jenkins giving chase as she'll run into the defender for Racing Louisville.
And you can see the frustration starting to set in. Yes, we're only 20 minutes into this match. It's the opening game of the season. Yes, they did have the Challenge Cup, but it's different when you go into the regular season. So for KC, can they just start living on it in that final third? You can see them trying to force passes, trying to take on 2 or 3 players instead of connecting that pass, maybe finding Amy Rodriguez off the front. And for Racing, being dynamic, dominating all over the pitch, quite frankly, defensively, offensively, can they get that early go-ahead goal?
Pickett. Labonta. Looking ahead for A-Rod, and that one just floats over the head, but A-Rod able to track it down. Drops it off. Weber to her right foot. Edmonds sends it back post. Looking for Jenkins. Another collision there. Kaiser, who scored the first goal ever in Racing Louisville history. That one coming against Orlando in the 12th minute. Ended up leading the team with 2 goals in the Challenge Cup. All those players picked up in the expansion draft for head coach Christy Hawley. Christy Hawley, of course, former coach of Sky Blue. He was there for 1 season, so plenty of experience in the NWSL. Also was an assistant coach beforehand with Sky Blue. Battling for an injury here on the field. Is he just able to get up there? Is McClure just went down in an awkward angle. McClure, the second-year player out of Kansas. 39 goals, was an All-American. She's just been all over the place so far between her and LaBonta in that midfield for Kansas City.
And they have, but you look at the percentage, the pass completion, hanging around 70%, and it's not playing out of the back, it's not playing through the midfield, it's that final third. So if they can clean that up, that percentage jumps to the 80% mark, the 90% mark, and gets you in a better goal-scoring opportunity.
Olsen coming up to break that up is Desiree Scott. Malay, third-year player, last 2 seasons with North Carolina. Say that North Carolina defending champs here in the NWSL. Of course, then the Challenge Cup last year was Houston. This year's Challenge Cup, it was the Portland Thorns who took home the trophy. Different when you talk about regular season and the length of it. All teams playing 24 games, 12 home, 12 away. Really, it's about staying healthy and the longevity of the season as this is played in by Corsi. Jenkins just outside the area now. This one played to the back post. An easy grab here from Michelle Beto. Scoreless here in the 24th minute. Josh Toll and Kaylin Kyle with you this evening in the first game of the regular season here in 2021. It's hard to believe the last regular season game back in 2019. Obviously last year, much different year with the pandemic, but excited to be back here and playing some regular soccer and seeing who's going to be crowned the 2021 champion in the NWSL. Also, you do have the new addition here in Racing Louisville to be the 10th team. Of course, Kansas City as well, being the other expansion squad. Pickett. Striding up. Just looking back for Rodriguez, couldn't connect. Fox will play it down. Nagasado going down the line. Flag is down. Now we'll have our first corner for Racing Louisville. Good job there by Kaiser of at least winning the corner. Ball going off the leg of Leach. Always dangerous. Savannah McCaskill will line up in the far corner. McCaskill in front of the home crowd, plays it in. Send it down. Back post ball. And then you have the collision at the 6, and this will be awarded to Kansas City.
We've seen this from Racing a few times in the Challenge Cup, really coming out with their foot on the gas pedal, especially when they're playing at home. But now it's, can they sustain this for a full 90-minute match? Again, going back to the goals against. 6 goals against, 4 goals for. Again, the goals for all brilliant build-up plays or set pieces. So defensively, I love that they have their foot on the gas pedal, especially against this KC side where they want to get that early go-ahead goal. But when you're playing against Kansas City, you've got to be careful of that transition.
Labonta. Fox. She'll go down the line. Hendricks. She'll come near side looking for Simon. Simon plays it to the spot. No one there. Now we'll have the late whistle. Louisville upset with that coming so late. The player down, I believe, is Lola Bonta. Our referee today, Dory Monroy. These clubs looking for that first ever win. Kansas City finished with 3 losses and 1 draw in the Challenge Cup. Meanwhile, Racing Louisville, 2 losses and 2 draws. One of 3 teams not to win a game in that Challenge Cup, the other one being Chicago. Bonta, 7th-year player out of Stanford, won a national championship in 2011. Talked about her importance in the midfield for head coach Hugh Williams. She's being looked at by the training staff.
And hopefully nothing serious with Labonta, because what she adds to this KC side is that experience, the ability to live on the ball. And you can just see here the head-on-head collision again with obviously the new protocols being implemented with around North America in the MLS, the NWSL, and the USL. I'm glad they've taken that step, that extra precaution, because at the end of the day, it's these players' livelihoods further down the line. Maybe, it's a concussion here, but I love that they're looking for that in the future. But just going back to Labonta, brilliant on the ball, brilliant off the ball, and you can tell she's really a leader and the dictator within this midfield. And then having Scott just playing underneath her allows Labonta to stay a little bit higher and more connected to Amy Rodriguez. So hopefully this is nothing for her, because Casey really needs a player like this in that midfield.
Labonta, one of those players that had played with FC Kansas City, coming back over. She made her off-season home in Kansas City, so one of those players that elected to, even though the team was in Utah, to make her home ground in Kansas City. As you see the players surrounding her. Of course, this is the first of 3 games tonight, full slate tonight here in the NWSL to kick off the season. At 7, we'll have Gotham FC taking on the Houston Dash. Gotham really being the surprise team in the Challenge Cup, going against last year's Challenge Cup champions, Houston. And then to cap it off at 10 Eastern, we'll have OL Reign taking on North Carolina. That one will be in Tacoma. Kansas City, what can you say about Amy Rodriguez? We showed it earlier, 38 regular season goals, 44 in her NWSL career across all competitions.
And you can see what this means to her. I mean, even just, it's the little things for me when you see players like an Amy Rodriguez that has won everything that you can win, that leader, a mom, coming back, dominating the pitch, but again, just kneeling down by Labonta and washing her hand. And that says, I know it's something so simple, but it says a lot about who she is as a person, what she means. And you can see the blood obviously coming from Labonta's head, so I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a substitute here. Again, you never want to see this with players. It's scary. Anything to do with the head is scary, and then obviously when you do see the blood. So hopefully Labonta will be okay. But again, we're definitely probably going to see a sub here.
See who it is coming on for Kansas City. You got to think in that midfield possibility of it being Jordan Listro. Lister, one of those Canadian players, but she played with Orlando before being traded over here.
And if Lister does come in, it'll be a three-man midfield from Canada, obviously, with Desiree Scott and Victoria Pickett.
Nothing intentional behind the collision, as unfortunately it looks to be that Lola Planta will go to the sideline and up the stairs into the training room. 32nd minute, scoreless here between Kansas City and Racing Louisville. And we are told that Jordan Listrell will be the sub. So now Listrell will come off. Second-year player out of Central Florida. Most ever appearances in Central Florida history. She had 82 appearances. Also saw her first call-up with the Canadian national team this year.
And well-deserved. She's been really impressive. The one area where she could work on is just that defensive work, not taking silly set piece or silly tackles in and around the box, but brilliant on the ball, brilliant defensive work. I think she's got a massive future with the Canadian national team. And just touching on this midfield, and I'm not just saying this because I'm Canadian, but again, this excites me because you see just how the Canadian program's growing. It's because of the NWSL. It's because of how good the NWSL is, how much money is going into it, and really developing these players. So even a player like Pickett, you can already see her early on in this match dominating that midfield. So that's, again, another platform for her to be looked at by the Canadian women's national team with the Olympics just around the corner, because she's different than what Canada has. You don't really have a central midfield in Canada that has that pace and ability with the ball at her feet.
Of course, during the Olympic break, we will not be stopping here in the NWSL. We're going to be playing straight through as Desiree Scott now pushes forward, looks for Rodriguez. Rodriguez with a left foot, just not enough behind that. You can see she was a little bit off balance on that shot attempt. There's one thing Amy Rodriguez does not lack. It is confidence, and when she has a chance, she is not afraid to take a rip on the ball to try and getting a goal on the scoreboard.
I thought you were about to say pace, not confidence, but both. I mean,
Yeah.
she doesn't lack in either.
She had that goal 2 years ago in the regular season where she went about 60 yards up the field to score a massive goal for, at the time, Utah Royals. Pickett player down. Great look at Lauren Millay. Pickett is semifinalist for the Mac Herman Trophy Award while she was at the University of Wisconsin. Now the Scottish captain will step up at midfield. Of course, last year 17 games with Birmingham City in the WSL as she plays towards the top of the area. See the hustle there from Rodriguez trying to beat Aaron Simon to the ball, but Rodriguez called for the foul.
And this is what you need from a captain, a leader on the pitch, just to switch that momentum. Obviously, seeing Labonta go just down hurts this KC side because of what she adds, but a player like Amy Rodriguez realizes that. She doesn't want a massive momentum shift to go not in their favor. So again, putting in a big tackle here just to really switch on the mindset of KC. We're here to collect the 3 points. Yes, we lost one of our good players down to a head injury, but let's win this one for her.
Betos plays it high into the sky. First regular home game here at Lynn Family Stadium. You go back to the Challenge Cup. I mean, what a show that was put on here at Lynn Family Stadium with lights going on and off. This is going to be one of the more exciting places to play this year as the #1 overall draft pick. Fox plays it out. Nagasato sends it in. The follow-up by Millay and scooped up by Barnhart.
And this is a great call from the ref. Obviously, the foul there, she lets it play on because of the goal-scoring opportunity. Again, fouled here by the defender. Ref lets this play. Absolutely brilliant ball into the box. And then again, this strike, keeping it low, hard, and driven.
Kaiser. Edmonds. McClure will play it inside. Malay. Reel brings it back to Brooke Hendricks. Hendricks also with a goal in that Challenge Cup. Plays it up. Great look at Desiree Scott. Over 150 caps with Canada, bronze medalist.
And a class player both on and off the pitch. I mean, leads by example, leaves everything out on the training pitch, and truly doesn't get enough credit that she deserves. She won't, in games, do anything extraordinary. And what I mean by this, maybe taking on 2, 3, 4 players, or a brilliant ball that bypasses 6 players. But she never makes a mistake defensively. She never puts a foot wrong, and it is so hard to get past her 1v1.
Nagasato. Kaiser drops it back for Malay. Malay will switch sides, looking for Aaron Simon. Simon, and that is going to go off Kristen Edmonds, and a corner here once again for Racing Louisville and Savannah McCaskill.
And KC with just probably with stoppage time due to that head injury, maybe 7 to 10 minutes to go in this one. So can they be switched on mentally? Because right now they're lucky to be 0-0 at this point. Louisville have been all over them defensively, offensively. So can they get into the locker room halftime 0-0 and maybe look at their tactics a little bit? How can we get our midfielders to live on it in that final third a little bit more?
McCaskill headed down, and now sent away by Kansas City. Not out of the area, though. McClure. McCaskill looks to send it in. And that one took a deflection. It looked like it hit off Scott, and Barnhart ready for that on the near post.
And McCaskill's been all over the pitch. We see her down this right-hand side. We see her floating inside, living on the ball in between that midfield and that back line. And we've even seen her out on the left-hand side. Again, she is really what makes this Louisville side tick.
Look at McCaskill a few years back, a couple call-ups with the national team. And then began her career with Sky Blue before going over to Chicago, as that's knocked away by Betos, and this will be a corner for Kansas City. Betos recording the first shutout in Louisville history, getting that in a draw against Gotham. The service punched up. Rodriguez turning away from Fox. Fox wins possession. Now coming over is Pickett to break it up. The shot in that one blocked off the knee. Good job there by Kaylee Reel getting in front of that shot attempt. McClure pushing it up, looking for Nagasato. Kaiser. Coming up on a late run is Malay. Kaiser. His reinforcements couldn't come up fast enough for Racing Louisville that time.
And just on the other side, before we jump to CC Kaiser, this is why she is so brilliant, being able to get behind the back four and just have that control and mindset to live on it. But for KC, you're in that opposition final third, and again, that clinicalness just not there, not hitting the right pass, trying to take a shot with 2-3 players in front of you. Can they be a little bit more patient, maybe going into the second half once they get the ball higher up the pitch?
Listro, that player that subbed on for the injured Lola Bonta. Scoreless here as we approach half. We'll have stats and highlights from this one. Also, we'll take a look at what's going on here in the NWSL opening weekend. Next at 7, we'll have Gotham and Houston Dash. And the nightcap tonight, NWSL After Dark, will be OL Reign and the North Carolina Courage.
And we'll be on that one together again. So if you didn't hear enough from us right now, tune in at 10.
Nagasato Kaiser, the third-year player. Plenty of time to set up this pass attempt and headed away by Taylor Leach. Long ball over the top, no one there for Kansas City. Played in and knocked away once again by Taylor Leach. Taylor Leach, a second-year player, but she's played professionally in Sweden for 3 different teams.
And Casey just playing really as individuals right now, not playing as a team, not utilizing their midfield. Players trying to take on 2-3 players. The back line not getting up quick enough. The midfield not joining the attack. So no one has an outlet once they do retain the ball.
Simon. Battle there between Simon and Weber. Aaron Simon last year with West Ham. She was teammates with Brooke Hendricks. So Weber, the player, now slow to get up. Maybe just got clipped there on the back of the heel. Take a look back at that. And yep, there it is. You can see the right foot of Simon just getting the heel of Mallory Weber. It never feels good right there. One of those tender areas.
And we've seen that around the world, obviously, with VAR being implemented. Not here, obviously, tonight, but usually that is a red card. Anytime a cleat is on the back of an Achilles or the back of a calf, now with the new rules, it's usually a sending off again here. There was no intent. There was no malicious. Malicious, is that?
Yes,
yeah, that's my word that I'm using. But again, well, the referees absolutely managed this game perfectly.
Corsi. Leach. She's had a solid first half as she'll play it out wide. Bowen looks to go inside to Scott. Jenkins. Jenkins was active early in the first half. Has kind of quieted down here in the later part of the first half. Misplay there.
And it's because of moments like this, just going back to your point, you've absolutely nailed it. I mean, you look at these 3 front runners and just how dangerous they can be. Again, KC getting into good areas. They build up through the back. They find those midfield platforms. Desiree Scott hitting that switch of play. But then it's that forced pass in that final third. So all that hard work they've done defensively and the energy they've used to move the ball up the pitch, it's wasted.
Simon. McCaskill. McCaskill with a little room to her left. Pauses, brings it back. Scott right with her. Simon. Cut across. Good battle here. Gets by Weber.
Well done.
Simon plays it in.
I'm telling you now, I'm calling it. This racing side, if they can keep building and they can keep producing, finding the platforms, because when they're building up, most teams, you can see them, they want to play wide or they want to play through the midfield. They find all different sorts of platforms, whether it's that back four sticking together or the fullbacks getting high and having one of their midfield platforms of Millet and Olofsson dropping through to make a 3. The wing play is brilliant, and it's only going to get better the more time these players train together and the more time these players play together.
5 minutes of stoppage time added on here in the first half.
Can you tell I'm excited about this racing side? Not only their jerseys in the stadium, but just their style of play.
Look at this awesome Racing Louisville side. A lot of things to prove for these players who weren't protected by their teams, which many came from. You can talk about Savannah McCaskill, Yuki Nagasato, Cece Kaiser being another one coming over from the Houston Dash. You have to think that puts another little chip on their shoulder, wanting to prove those teams wrong and why it might have been a mistake to left them unprotected.
And it doesn't, and it's no disrespect to any of these players. You just can't protect everyone. Obviously, most teams protect their national team players, yada, yada, yada. But again, like you just alluded to, those points, so players like McCaskill having their former teams watch game film and be like, oof, we could have been wrong here. It does. It adds fuel to the fire for these players. Oh,
a clever little back heel by McCaskill to the spot, and that one just over the crossbar. What an excellent setup, but Kaiser could not finish.
And I'm telling you now, the teams that McCaskill's played for, they're watching this and being like, we should have protected her. Brilliant. Look at this cheekiness down the side. I mean, absolutely undresses her defender. And then this ball, she gets her head up, and she doesn't try to force this one in. She just doesn't try to just put it into the box to put it into the box. Cece Kaiser just mishitting this one, just getting underneath it, which pushes it up and over the ball bar. She's going to be shaking her head when she watches this one back because we haven't seen Cece Kaiser miss opportunities like this.
You look at Cece Kaiser, led the team in scoring with 2 goals in the Challenge Cup. Cece Kaiser, though, in college at Ole Miss, 48 goals, 119 points. High expectations when she was drafted number 13 overall in 2019 by the Houston Dash. Edmonds. Leach. Looking for Aaron as that one's headed down. McClure. Diagonal ball. Bowen. Racing Louisville has been the more dangerous of these two teams. Kansas City right now just building with patience. They did have some chances earlier in about the opening 10 minutes, but things really slowed down for them as Racing Louisville began to adjust.
And just jumping to your point, building with patience. There's building with patience, but then building with no one moving, and that's where they're stuck right now. Racing have done a really good job defensively, taking away the dangerous places, not allowing them to play through where they want to play through, get their midfields living on the ball. So again, can KC just play a little bit quicker, start moving the ball left to right? Right now, it's just far too slow in this back line. And I'm being hard on KC because I know the potential that they have when they are on.
McCaskill will play it outside to Simon. Simon going over the top. Of course, he nods it down to Edmonds. Pickett. Weber. We're playing that inside, but to no one in particular. Edmonds nearly winning the ball there from McCaskill.
And it just doesn't seem like KC, when they're on it, they have any ideas. No one's moving for one another. No one really wants the ball. It's almost like they have a little bit of nerves set in, which they shouldn't because they have some world-class players on this team. So again, getting into the locker room at halftime 0-0, they'll be delighted with this. And I think just having that break at halftime to really get their tactics right moving forward in the second 45.
Fox going down the line. Nagasato, Bowen trailing her. Bowen this time wins the ball for Kansas City. Listro. And there's the whistle to end the first half. Kaylin, your thoughts on the first 45 minutes of action?
Racing is going to be dangerous in this regular season. They've looked great defensively. They've looked phenomenal offensively, really switching the point of attack, dribbling through the midfield, whipping balls in from that outside. So for KC, can they just go and reset in this locker room and refocus of what they want to do in that final third?
Chance here for Kansas City to do just that as they look to make adjustments to get ready for the second half. Scoreless here at half between Racing Louisville and Kansas City. And you got to wonder, is a goal in the making for one of these two squads? Well, at half, we will step aside. We'll be back with some highlights and stats and more action for what's coming up here in the NWSL this weekend. Scoreless here at half between Racing Louisville and Kansas City. as the regular season has begun here in the NWSL. We'll take a look back at what transpired in the Challenge Cup. Of course, Gotham FC being that top team in that East Division. I think everyone thought it was going to be North Carolina Courage, but Gotham being the surprise. They would go on to play Portland in that final, as we'll take a look now at the West Division and what transpired there for the Challenge Cup. And I think no surprise the way that Portland finished strong in the fall series, continuing to do that here in the Challenge Cup, as they ultimately would be crowned champions in the second ever Challenge Cup. OL Reign being the second team, the defending champs Houston Dash finishing third there in the standings, as we'll take a look back at what did happen in that Challenge Cup game between Portland and Gotham, and it was a great one between these two.
What didn't happen is what we should be saying. I mean, Christine Sinclair with the two goats on both ends, putting the ball into the back of the net early on for Christine Sinclair. Brilliant. And then you see Lindsay Horan just going off the post. Then you could start to see Gotham get back into this match. And you knew it was going to be big players stepping up in big moments, and who other than Carly Lloyd. Didn't really call her name that much in the first 45 minutes, but showing up huge. Goes into PKs and a huge save. This is extremely difficult to do. The strength and the power to get that upper arm over. And then who finishes this off? Morgan Weaver, who came off the bench and has been continuing to perform for Portland.
Last year, number 2 overall pick, and while she had quite the Challenge Cup for the Portland Thorns, getting that game winner there to lift that trophy. As we are scoreless here between Racing Louisville and Kansas City, you are watching the NWSL on Twitch. Welcome back. Scoreless between Racing Louisville and Kansas City. The first of 3 today here, opening day in the NWSL regular season, as we'll take a look at the schedule and what we have going here this weekend around the league. Of course, this one kicking things off. Later on, we'll have Gotham taking on Houston, OL Reign, North Carolina, Orlando Pride taking on the Spirit, Portland and Chicago on Sunday to close it out. Exciting weekend ahead for us.
I feel like you can't even pick which game is going to be the best game, because all these games, you can't really call it, because there's always surprises, and that's what makes this NWSL such an exciting league, because you're starting to grow it. You're starting to get more viewership, better players coming in the league, more money behind it, better stadiums, teams playing on grass pitches. I mean, you look at this pitch tonight, Racing, it's stunning.
And you look at this also, all 10 teams playing. So used to in the past just seeing that one team get that awkward bye week in that first week of the regular season. Not the case anymore. Another 2 great games coming ahead tonight and 2 more on Sunday to close out week 1 here in the regular season, as a beautiful night at Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky here between Racing Louisville and Kansas City. When we come back, we'll have highlights and stats from the first 45. 45 minutes in the books between Racing Louisville and Kansas City. Still looking for that first goal here in the first regular season game of the year in the NWSL. And you're looking at, well, we've had chances, both teams building, Racing Louisville being the more dangerous team here in the opening 45 minutes of play.
They have, and KC have had opportunities, but again, Racing, tough to break down defensively. You have Michelle Betos coming up huge against none other than Amy Rodriguez, that is no stranger to putting the ball into the back of the net. This was early on in the match. Then they slowly started to fade off. Racing really started to find their feet. Yes, we saw this opportunity from Jenkins just outside, again, early on in the match, and then slowly started just to drop defensively. Didn't really have anything going forward in that final third, but again, a great opportunity from Jenkins early on here. Michelle Betos would have had it, and then it was Racing. I mean, the last, I would say, 30 minutes of that 45, just floods and floods of pressure. I mean, down the left-hand side, build up through the midfield. Again, shot just out of the side of the box here. Barnhart coming up big. This one was never getting by her here. Experienced goalkeepers on both ends, but just cheekiness of Racing. I mean, the ability to come through the midfield, down the left-hand side, especially down this right-hand side. McCaskill, for me, brilliant. Cheekiness again. I can't use that word enough. Cece Kaiser's going to rewatch this film and be absolutely devastated she didn't put this ball into the back of the net. And you can see McCaskill here gets her head up, puts this ball on an absolute platter and just misses, goes over the bar. Racing will not be happy that they don't have a go-ahead goal in this match.
Such a chance. Very little Barnhart maybe would have been able to do about that save attempt if Cece Kaiser does not put it over. Looking at this game, well, what sticks out most right now, the possession for Racing Louisville, 57-43 for Kansas City.
Yeah, and for KC, can they just have more possession in that final third? Because when they do have the ball, they're building up nice, they're getting their midfields on it, and then it just looks like they're kind of lost in that final third, trying to force things, whereas Racing have floods of pressure from both sides.
And if you're Hugh Williams coming out at half for Kansas City, what are you telling your team to kind of try to jumpstart them once again?
To talk to the midfield. I mean, you have a Canadian midfield, a Pickett, Jordan Listro, obviously with Labonta going down with that head injury, hoping that she's okay, and Desiree Scott. Can they really win this midfield battle here today? Can they get the ball from this back four, move it up the pitch, and really start supporting the front runners of Weber, Rodriguez, and Jenkins? Because that is where they are dangerous, those front six.
And for Racing Louisville and Christy Hall, you have to think, just continue what you're doing.
Keep doing
for those
what you're
final
doing.
20 minutes.
Yeah, keep doing exactly what you are doing. And again, they're going to be disappointed that they haven't put the ball into the back of the net. But can they do this for 90 minutes? Because we've seen with Racing, they do get scored on later on in matches.
And it looks like we might have a sub here to start off the second half with Michelle Vasconcelos in Kansas City. We'll give you that final information once we hear, but she's also a player that can provide that attack with Amy Rodriguez up front. She's been a spark, and Hugh Williams doesn't have enough good things to say about her and what she has brought to this team. Of course, she began her career with Chicago. Last year just played in one game for Utah, as Michelle Vasconcelos is indeed in, and she'll replace Darian Jenkins. So Jenkins with that best opportunity on that free kick for Kansas City, as she will now head off for the remainder of this one.
I think this is a great substitute, bringing in Vasconcelos off the bench. Like you said, adds that spark, but then also adds that goal-scoring threat and the ability just to play a little bit closer to Amy Rodriguez. She's got the pace, she's got the power, and the vision and awareness off the ball to really get numbers forward.
Michelle Vasconcelos, another one of those players that, well, it just seems like she has an engine that never runs out. She'll be able to provide speed up front as well for Kansas City. Listro. That's going to go off the shoulder of Freya Olofsson. Olofsson, plenty of time with the U17, U20, and U23 teams in Sweden. As Scott will relax and drop this back to midfield. Horsey will go out wide. Edmonds plays it inside. Weber. This one sent away. And now a throw here for Kansas City. Kansas City was able to get off the front foot early in the first half. Right now trying to replicate that here in the second. Edmonds, back to Weber. Malay looking to go forward. Bowen. And player down on the ground for Racing Louisville is Cece Kaiser. We've already had one injury today. Lola Bonta went down in the first half. Jordan Listro came on as the substitution. You hope here Kaiser's all right. Just one of those things where maybe just a good stretch will help, and hopefully she'll be back up and running around.
And this looks like a cramp, but it's early on to be having a cramp, so hopefully it isn't a muscle strain with that hamstring. You can see her pulling at the back of her leg. They're trying to stretch her out, which for me looks like a cramp, but again, to have a cramp at the 47-minute, just coming out of halftime, usually you don't see it, especially with someone like a Cece Kaiser that is explosive. She leads this front line. And you can see her just getting hit maybe with a knee on the back of it, so maybe just one of those dead legs. Hopefully it's nothing crazy for Cece Kaiser.
Cece Kaiser by far with the best opportunity of the game on a great pass by Savannah McCaskill, but sent it over the crossbar. Kaiser, you're looking at, led the team in scoring in the Challenge Cup with 2 goals. On the other side, Amy Rodriguez leading the way for Kansas City. Biggest thing, though, for Kansas City and Racing Louisville is they're still looking for that first win in 2021.
And more so for Racing, the games have been close. You look at that Challenge Cup, I mean, really close games, 2-2, 1-0, 3-2, 0-0. I mean, very close games. Again, can they do this for 90 minutes? We saw them really on top in that first 45 minutes. So can they close out the game? Can they try to keep a clean sheet? while scoring at the other end as well.
Leach will drop this back. Barnhart, look at Barnhart, what she has done in her career. Over 50 clean sheets.
Oh, great.
2 times she has had 10 or more.
Sorry for interrupting you there, but this is what we want to see from KC. The midfield's living on it. You can see Desiree Scott in there getting that turn. Jordan Leifstro coming into the pitch and having the confidence to turn and live in those tight spaces. This is how KC will break down this high-pressing racing side.
Talking with Hugh Williams on our call this week. He really wants this team to be aggressive and entertaining. We'll see how it continues to develop over the course of this year. Leach. Of course, he finds Listro. Looking to go outside to Edmonds. Edmonds will bring it all the way back. Patience here from Leach in Kansas City. See how they execute this second half and the game plan that Hugh Williams has drawn up. Biggest thing being able to adjust after that break as Vasconcelos will play it out. Fox, the #1 overall pick, will play this back. Fox actually drafted while she was away with the national team, was watching it with her teammates.
And such an amazing moment as well. I'm watching with some teammates that also went #1 in the draft in previous years. I mean, such an incredible moment for her.
McCaskill. Nice little scoop pass to McClure. McClure just could not get her foot on it. Looked like Katie Bowen was able to get there first.
Great defending from Katie Bowen, coming across, really cleaning up the mess defensively, but it's McCaskill. We saw her in that first 45 minutes, out on the right, through centrally, out on the left, and again, this brilliant little ball in behind this back four, which makes Katie Bowen have to make a big defensive cleanup.
McCaskill will play the corner into the 6. Mishandled, blocked off the line at the 6 by, it looked like Taylor Leach. It looked like it was Kaylee Reel that had the opportunity, and Leach in the perfect position for Kansas City.
And you rarely see this mistake from Barnhart. She's tried to come out big, strong, completely mistimes the ball, and again, a glorious opportunity for Racing to, again, go with that go-ahead goal. And this is where soccer, or football, wherever you are in the world, is a funny game, because if you don't take these chances, you have world-class players on the other side of the pitch. All they need is one opportunity, and this game turns around.
Corsi going outside looking for Edmonds. Simon with her. Edmonds to the right foot. Goes inside. And Fox will send that away to the far touchline. Take a look back at that last opportunity here by Racing Louisville.
And a brilliant ball into the box, and you can see Barnhart come out, and she is in a perfect opportunity or perfect space. She comes out big, she comes out strong, she just misreads that in the air, goes through her hands. Again, perfect opportunity for Racing to get on the score sheet and just can't be clinical in that final third.
Nagasato in the circle. Malay. Go over the top. Vasconcelos tracking back. Now pushes it wide. Rodriguez. Pickett. Numbers moving forward for Kansas City. And McCaskill brings Pickett down, and we're going to have our first free kick here of the second half for Kansas City.
And this is a tactical foul from McCaskill. Don't necessarily agree with it. I think she's been brilliant in 53 minutes. But for me, this is just a sloppy play. You have defenders behind the ball. You have Pickett that's not in a goal-scoring opportunity, again, in that middle part of the pitch. There's no need for a foul here. Again, you have that cover, you have that support, and now you're in a dangerous position with the ball just outside your box.
See Betos directing traffic in front. Michelle Betos coming over from OL Reign last season. Setting up that three-person wall. Savannah McCaskill handed a yellow card on that play. As Rodriguez and Bowen around the ball for Kansas City. Bowen looking to send it into the 6. Vasconcelos pokes it out wide. Weber. Simon able to position herself in front of Weber. Now, which direction is this going to go? It's going to go in favor of Kansas City. So this is another great chance just outside the area.
And you can see Racing having an argument with the referee saying it was a foul on Michelle Betos earlier before this foul, so that one should have been called. But moving forward in this game, this is where, again, soccer is a funny sport because they've been all over KC for the first. For me, this is no foul. You're coming up big and strong. Yes, she does hit the goalkeeper, so right call for me from the referee. And then, again, another sloppy, silly foul in and around the box. And this is where Racing do need to work on things moving forward in this season because there's a lot of games in a short amount of time. So can they be mentally switched on defensively and not take silly, sloppy set pieces in and around the box?
Well, now another great chance here for Kansas City. Edmonds outside with Rodriguez. Looking for that first goal of the game. Kansas City never scored more than one goal in a game as Rodriguez runs over the ball. Edmonds. And that one just over the crossbar.
And you can see Edmonds trying to go for goal in this one. I don't mind it because she does have the tool in her toolbox to get that done. I hate that I just said the tools in her toolbox. Excuse me, I apologize to everyone tuning in. But again, this is why she has been in the NWSL for so long and so successful at so many teams because of her skill sets that she can produce. You can play her anywhere on the pitch in that back line through the midfields up top, and then she's clinical on set pieces.
Edmonds coming in over a trade with Orlando that would send Gunny Jonstadter as well as the rights to Erica Timrak. Listro can't get to the ball as Nagasato was back. Olofsson. Hendricks looking to play it over to her. Now Fox. Real with the best chance here in the second half, but in the perfect position was Taylor Leach to play it off the 6. Otherwise, Real might have a great opportunity. Yes, there was a couple players back on the line for Kansas City. Leach going to play it to the New Zealander, Katie Bowen, but sends it well over her head. Nagasato. This one sent away. Looking at both these two teams adding help. Gemma Bonner coming over for Racing Louisville. Another one that's going to be filling in on the back line at center back. 2 FA Cups in 2019 and 2020 with Manchester City. Then you add in English striker Ebony Salmon, who just had her first national call-up, as that one glanced off the head of Corsi, and now a chance played in. Corsi right there to get it back for Kansas City. Now another opportunity for Racing Louisville. Haskell looking to send in an inward swinging ball. Headed down. Sent away by Vasconcelos. Simon. Nagasato. McCaskill always dangerous, and she has had quite the game today. Just the one mistake on the defensive side of the ball. looking for their first win in club history. I will see one of them come up with it here this evening from Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky. Talked about the reinforcements coming over from across the pond for Racing Louisville, and Jim Bonner as well as Ebony Salmon. Well, Kansas City's going to get one. We'll hold off on that here for just a moment. McCaskill to a right foot. McCaskill! Oh! She was trying to bend that, just could not get the dip. Fantastic performance from her in these opening 60 minutes of play.
She's been brilliant for me all over the pitch, defensively, in the ref's ear. This is what you want for a player, especially on an expansion team. You can see her just trying to whip this one top corner, spin this around the defense, spin this around the goalkeeper. But it's this pressure that I'm talking about with Louisville. How they keep pressing high up the pitch, getting numbers around, really dominating in that midfield. Can they keep this going for the full 90 minutes here tonight?
The other side, Hugh Williams, he'll be bringing in Jessica Silva. She was added to the club this week, last 2 years with Lyon, 64 appearances with Portugal. She's played in Sweden, France, Portugal, and Spain. Seen some different players coming over from various areas in the world as these teams still try to get stronger here and develop and see who's going to be that other player that's going to provide help, whether it be on the back line, midfield, or up front. Leach. Something that you gotta love hearing is the fans in the stadium. Hear the drums.
You forget how much you miss it. Even as a viewer, I can't even imagine being a player on the pitch, but even people like us that are calling these games, it just adds this excitement, it adds flow, it adds energy, and you can see it in these players. You can see it them pushing those last 3 or 4 minutes where they really rely on the fan support.
Bowen playing it inside. Fox once again stepping in the way of the pass. Fox a pretty solid game as well for Racing Louisville at that outside back position as Scott is called for the foul. Emily Fox out of North Carolina. All-American with the Tar Heels. Real. That one headed backwards. Now a chance here for Kaiser. Kaiser looking to play it through. Fox was on a run there. And now we were going to have another sub as Mallory Weber will come off. And Mariana Larroquette, the Argentinian, will come in. Larroquette, the second Argentinian to play, the other one being Estefani Benini, who played with the Washington Spirit.
And Mallory Weber a little bit quiet for me in this match. Usually we see her really getting behind the back line, getting the ball off the midfield. It could be due to obviously going down this right-hand side, McCaskill floating to this right-hand side a little bit more, but excuse me, Kansas City. I need a coffee or a glass of wine.
Scott looking to go outside to Edmonds. Edmonds, the 8-year player, will bring it back. Corsi.
But just jumping back to my point with Mallory Weber and getting my team right, excuse me again, but you look at this midfield for KC sitting back a little bit defensively, not getting on the ball, which really hurts your wingers because your wingers have to drop back and do that defensive work and try to get on it to then connect to an Amy Rodriguez. So probably one of the reasons why Mallory Weber was a little bit more quiet than we've seen in the past for her out on this left-hand flank.
Corsi. Listro at midfield. Patience here from Kansas City, and then the giveaway. And now Racing Louisville will look to counter. Kaiser gets by one defender. And Kaiser and Racing Louisville are going to get the whistle there as they slowed up the run, waiting for the whistle to blow. And now Ekic will come in. So Amina Ekic will come in as she will replace Katie McClure.
And McClure can be happy with her performance tonight. Again, really busting down this right-hand side in the attack, in the defense. But what Ekic can add is that pace, getting behind this back four, and just that energy. And going back to my point I made a little bit earlier, just with Racing, can they do this for 90 minutes? So I like this substitute at this moment in this game to bring the energy that I think Racing needs.
Amina Ekic, an excellent career out of Louisville as this is played up and into the area. But you also look at Ekic, grew up in Louisville, local product. She was ACC Player of the Year. But while she was in high school, two-time Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Kentucky. She's going to be one of those other players you're looking at. She's going to provide a lot of help for this team. Drafted number 5 overall in last year's draft. And the 2 top 5 draft picks between Emily Fox and Amina Ekic. Simon playing it forward. Scott trying to turn away from McCaskill.
It's just that double movement we're not seeing from KC right now. Desiree Scott gets on the ball. She plays back to the defense. And then you have Lister and Pickett really hiding in that midfield. They're so brilliant when they're on the ball, living in tight spaces. So I'd love to see them come alive a little bit more in this match.
One person's name we haven't said much here in the second half is Pickett, and we'll see how that changes. Of course, Lister coming onto the midfield in the first half for the injured Lola Bonta. Starting to see the teams use more substitutions here in the second half as this game continues to wear on. Fox. This one played outside by Olofsson. Vasconcelos, and that one stabbed away by Fox. Injured player down for Kansas City. Amina Ekic has been actually fasting off and on throughout this season as Kristen Edmonds is the player down. So you have to wonder if, again, this one caused by a collision, it looked like behind. Edmonds, though, able to get up and walk it off. Minutes scoreless here between Racing Louisville and Kansas City. First game of the NWSL regular season coming at you from Lynn Family Stadium. Up after this, we'll have Gotham FC taking on the Houston Dash, and then the nightcap will be OL Reign and the North Carolina Courage.
You're going to brew our coffee for that one, aren't you?
We're going to get one ready.
Everyone on the East Coast, stay awake. We will keep you awake for that match because it's going to be an absolute thriller. And it's Saturday, so no one has an excuse. Sunday's off, so you can have a nice lie-in in the morning.
Corsi now will set up. High arcing ball. Was able to find the feet of Vasconcelos, but unable to do anything with it. Nagasato. Olofsson.
this is where Cece Kaiser, you're starting to see her transform her game a little bit. I mean, yes, she's dangerous when she gets in behind the back four. Yes, she's dangerous when she floats outside. But even that double movement we just saw there, pushing that center back, popping off, and then playing in behind that midfield and getting that tight turn. It doesn't come off, but you can see her game slowly starting to progress and move forward.
And Cece Kaiser now getting a lot more time here, possibly with Racing Louisville. Of course, going back to Houston, but some of the players she was able to learn from, and Christy Mewis as well as Rachel Daly, added Shea Groom to that mix. Well, the reason those three players are one of the reasons that James Clarkson and the Dash left Kaiser unprotected. This one sent towards the near touchline. Nagasato plays it up. Nice touch there by Nagasato. Oh, and Kaiser just stumbles. Oh, and then Millay wins the ball back for Racing Louisville. Plays it inside for McCaskill. Ekic still in control with the left. Nagasato looking to send it across towards the 6. Ekic giving chase, but Larquette right there. Ekic wins the ball back for Louisville. Plays it in. Punched away, and no one coming up for Racing.
And I think you can make a case on both sides, just not dangerous in that final third. Racing doing a much better job in the build-up and getting into those dangerous places. Defensively, I mean, making those hard recovery runs. We're just seeing McCaskill here. But can they clean it up in the final third with 20 minutes to go to get onto the score sheet?
Millay going outside. This one sent into the 6, back post. Bowen right there. Millay, that one blocked away by Scott. Seems like every time Racing Louisville has a chance at a shot, because this is played into the 6, but every time they have an opportunity on a shot attempt, there's a Kansas City player in the perfect position to deflect it away. Lister waiting for some movement up front. Nagasato. Kaiser. 2 players on her. Nice move to the inline. Cut across. And no one at the top of the 18. Fox turns in, turns out, into the area. Corner coming for Racing Louisville.
And it's floods and floods of pressure. And you can see Vasconcelos obviously has just come off the bench to help spark in this KC side, and she's shaking her head in disbelief. She wants this team to get on track, but they just can't deal with all the movement of Racing. So can they be clinical on this set piece opportunity?
I've seen a couple times where Nicole Barnhart has misjudged the ball, whether she's wanting to grab it or punch it away, as McCaskill will come over for another corner. Towards the 6. Ekic to McCaskill, gets it right back and right over there to break up the passes, Desiree Scott. Olofsson. McCaskill goes inside. Fox. Trying to get by 2 defenders, does. Nice movement. Plays it out wide. So maybe a little unbalanced there was Laura Millay. She looked to go back to Emily Fox. Pickett Listro coming near side. Now a chance for Kansas City here to build. Let's see what they can do with this opportunity. Vasconcelos steps aside Olofsson. Pickett. Trying to scoop pass it over to Larroquette. And Betos right there, but offside flag was up.
And this is much better from KC, getting midfielders on it. This is where KC need to get the ball into the midfield three with Pickett, Listro, and Scott in order to get the front runners in dangerous areas. We haven't seen it for, I would say, 65 minutes of this match. We've seen moments of it, but not consistently. Again, both teams in that final third just haven't been good enough. They haven't been clinical. Passes have been sloppy when KC have gotten into those opportunities. And for Racing, time and time again, after floods and floods of pressure, just not good balls in that final third.
There you saw the tattoo define the situation on Victoria Pickett's arm. Something that she put on there after she went through a horrific knee injury back in college at the University of Wisconsin. But again, you just can tell what she's going to be for Hugh Williams, a player that they are going to rely on the future. Leach. Rodriguez trying to connect with Listro, but back once again is Nagasato. Nagasato doing a good job on both sides of the ball tonight. Nagasato, of course, coming over before the expansion draft with Savannah McCaskill from the Chicago Red Stars for roster protection. Two clever and very good players when they were able to pick up McCaskill and Nagasato. And both who could easily be captains of this team.
And usually we see a match like this at the first game of the season. Yes, it's the first game of the season, but they did have a Challenge Cup to set them up for this. So the sloppy passes, the not clinicalness in that final third, we would see this in this first game of the season. So this isn't a shock, but it is because they just finished a Challenge Cup a week and a half ago where they've had, 4 games apiece where they could get the kinks out, but we're still starting to see the kinks here. Again, this will take time. It's a long, long season, but for Racing moving forward, they're going to be dangerous, I think, in this season. And then for KC, they just need to figure out the kinks of how to get that ball through the midfield in order for Amy Rodriguez to be more dangerous.
Kaylin, before you play that first regular season game, what was that moment like? Just knowing the anticipation, I can't say the word.
Anticipation?
Yeah,
See, we're here to help each other out. That's usually me.
Of building up for the entire season and just, getting ready for that first game in front of your home fans.
Yeah, it's nerves obviously setting in, but that's when I go back to the Challenge Cup. I kind of like that they did the Challenge Cup because I had a 10-week-long preseason. They couldn't play preseason matches due to COVID, so usually when they would play their university teams, their college teams, they couldn't physically get those in. So those 90 minutes match performances, they didn't have them. So they had the Challenge Cup to perfect that, get the fitness levels up, and you can see the fitness levels here. Players all over the pitch making recovery runs where we wouldn't see that usually in that first game of the season. It's just that sloppiness in that final third that I wasn't expecting to see in this first game of the season.
Pickett in the circle. Freya Olofsson's the player for Racing Louisville that's getting worked on the sideline. Like they're wrapping a bandage around her leg as she is back on the field.
What I will say about this first game is McCaskill is unbelievable. I mean, she's really obviously, like you said, getting unprotected by her team, getting picked up here, really being the conductor, the commander, both in the attack, the defensive side of it. So can she keep this going all season long to potentially get another call in with the U.S. women's national team?
And you look at her, she created 2 great opportunities, the one by Kaiser that went over the crossbar, and then the one off the free kick that she nearly dipped in, but just went above the bar. Lurquette, Vasconcelos, outside to Rodriguez. A chance here for Kansas City. Popped up into the air, and Betos able to run under it. Looked like a missed touch there by A-Rod. Just a little bit more than 10 minutes remaining in this one. Will we find a goal in this first game? Triple header today. Up next, Gotham and Houston, and then the nightcap will be OL Reign and North Carolina Courage. That one from Tacoma, Washington. Two games tomorrow with Washington and Orlando. That'll be the first ones. Michelle Maimone will come on to the game. Michelle Maimone will replace Kristen Edmonds. Maimone, a third-year player, as the 8-year veteran will go off. Michelle Maimone, also another one of those players that can get up the side for head coach Hugh Williams. Looks like we could possibly see Taylor Otto here. And looks like Taylor Otto will come in possibly for Lauren Millay. We'll see if that sticks. 10 more minutes remaining in this one here at Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky. Racing Louisville's first ever regular season game at Lynn Family Stadium, as Taylor Otto will check in. Taylor Otto in her first season out of North Carolina, as Lauren Millay will come off. Otto, a number 11 overall draft pick, very cerebral player. From an athletic family. Her mom played volleyball at Central Michigan. See what she can do to jumpstart that midfield for Racing Louisville.
And I don't necessarily think jumpstart it. I think Millay and Olsen did a brilliant job in the first 75 minutes of this game. Really dominated it, and really you look at the international experience that Kansas has in there, and they offset that. So bringing in someone like Otto, can she add that spark? Can she add the ability to really close out this match? Because like I alluded to earlier on, the games in the Challenge Cup were close, but obviously hadn't picked up a win because hadn't been able to finish the full 90-minute performance off. So can they do it here tonight? Couple opportunities to have the go-ahead goal, maybe two, to be 2-0 up at the moment. So can they finish this one up, and can Otto add to this attack?
Look at those two chances that we just talked about before for Racing Louisville. You had in the early part of the game, Amy Rodriguez with a great opportunity, and then Darian Jenkins on a free kick try that just went wide of the frame. It's always about capitalizing when you get those chances that are presented to you. Pickett will play this all the way back. Almost went past the end line, but right there is Barnhart. Hendricks to Kaylee Reel. Leach.
Hendricks really impressed me in that center back role. In the Challenge Cup, we saw her score a goal, but even here, just having the confidence. Most central defenders late on a game, 83rd minute, would head that. She takes it off her chest, settles it down, tries to get them to go from defense to offense. Brilliant to see from a center back.
Lurquette looking to go back to A-Rod. A-Rod tripped up, will not get the call. Bowen down the line. Vasconcelos. Listro towards the end line. Nice pass over by Listro to Amy Rodriguez, just too heavy of a touch.
I think this is what we've been asking KC for, 80 minutes in this game. Can the midfields get more advanced position and help Amy Rodriguez? Because we haven't said Rodriguez's name a lot because we haven't had that midfield connected. They haven't been able to get the ball close enough, or numbers or players in that supporting position. Obviously, we just saw Listro go down this right-hand side. Not a great ball into the box, but again, building in that final third.
Bowen. Nagasato takes away the ball, gets it out wide to Kaiser. Played inside, back to Nagasato with the right, and that one blocked away by Corsi. Corner coming from Racing Louisville.
5 minutes to go. Can they just calm down on this set piece? Can they really use this to their advantage? Because they've had numerous opportunities to put the ball into the back of the net. I mean, Nagasato has been brilliant in this match, floating, living in tight spaces. So can they be clinical here?
Played in. We're gonna have another corner. Yes, we will. Last touch by Kansas City. Kaiser was there on the near post for Racing Louisville. Bekic will try once again. Whips it in. Fox in pursuit of the ball. You can see the frustration with her on that pass attempt, just sending a little bit too far and right into the arms of Barnhart. Maimone working her way up the pitch. Maimone goes inside to Rodriguez. Listro near side to Bowen.
It's a great tackle from Desiree Scott just to break up the play, and this is where she really thrives, breaking up that play, keeping the ball into the final third, getting numbers forward. Again, we've just seen Bowen try to force that ball in, so
this one sent away, and Fox able to keep it in, but Bowen right there for Kansas City, and a late whistle coming against Michelle Vasconcelos. Vasconcelos not in agreement with that call. A bit more than 2 minutes remaining of this. Of course, we'll have stoppage time. Fans out tonight at Lynn Family Stadium. Beautiful to see that lavender in the stands. Great job that Racing Louisville did putting together this uniform, this crest. Really focus on how they want to build this team and what its identity is going to be.
one positive we can take out of this game is I think both teams on both ends in that final third can really build. They have the players to be dangerous, and both teams tonight haven't been clinical in that final third, haven't gotten quality balls into the box. I shouldn't say that for Racing. Some they haven't been able to finish the opportunity on the Racing side. For KC, haven't gotten the quality into the box or finding their most dangerous players like Amy Rodriguez.
Another opportunity here for Louisville. Otto plays it out wide. Good chance here, and then just giving it right away as Pickett was standing all alone at the top. Bekic was looking like she was making a move, just too heavy of a touch. Maimone. Kansas City maybe looking to get a late game winner here to steal one on the road. In the first ever home regular season game for Racing Louisville. Maimone now looking to create a chance, looking to go back to A-Rod. Played in towards the spot, cleared away. Larquette with the right, and one hopped right into Michelle Betos.
much better from Casey, just living and thriving in that final third. Again, it's that ball on the top of the box, just not enough power and strength to beat Michelle Beto. So for Louisville, we've talked about this. Can they defend for 90 minutes and hopefully keep a clean sheet here? If not, get that go-ahead goal.
Louisville up next. They will take on Washington. That one will be Friday at 7:30. Meanwhile, for Kansas City, they also play Sunday. They will be at Houston. Houston, of course, playing next against Gotham. Now we will have 4 minutes of stoppage time added on. Plenty of time here maybe to see that game-winning goal. Teams right now looking to escape with at least 1 point. And now we'll have another substitution for Racing Louisville. Jorian Bocom will come on and CC Kaiser will come off.
And I'm actually shocked that we didn't see this sub a little bit earlier, because what Bocom can add is that pace, but then the ability to get by her defender 1v1. She's great on the ball. Her movement is fantastic.
A-Rod with the left, and that one once again hops into the arms of Michelle Betos.
Her movement is fantastic, and CC Kaiser, nothing against her. I thought she was great in this game, but just started to die off a little bit towards the end. And again, coming from heavy legs because of all the defensive work she had to do. So I would have loved to have seen this substitute maybe 10 minutes earlier, just to really add that spark I think that Racing needed in that final third.
Bocom, of course, with a goal in the Challenge Cup, the first-year player out of CU. McCaskill. Listro plays it up. Fox. Real. She'll push it forward, and that one nodded away. McCaskill, a chance here for Racing Louisville late. Nice little pass back by Nagasato. Good challenge there by Mamone.
Can we have two players of the match tonight? I think Nagasato, brilliant. I think McCaskill, fantastic. Both of them, that partnership, you can see it starting to grow. We saw moments of it in the Challenge Cup, just not being consistent. I think here tonight we can say consistently we saw those two players really performing and linking up in that final third and in the midfield.
Chance here maybe in the dying moments for Racing Louisville to get that first goal on the board. Scott wins the ball back for Kansas City. Larquette on the far side of the field, being harassed by Ekich. Finds her way to Scott. Dangerous ball back, but Barnhart able to get there. McCaskill. Bowen now pushing up, has Listro to her right. That's where she goes. Diagonal ball across the field, and Nagasato unable to get there as that one finds its way well out. And now we'll have Gabby Vincent come in, and she'll replace Desiree Scott. Gabby Vincent, the third-year player out of Louisville. She was undrafted. Vincent returning back to where she played college soccer. whistle once again as Ekic was knocked over. Should say Olofsson was the player knocked over. And there is the whistle. Kaylin, your thoughts on the 90 minutes of play?
I think both teams can be happy that there was no goals scored against, but both teams looking back at game film are not going to be happy on either side in that attacking third. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't clinical enough. Missed passes, so something they can definitely build on.
A scoreless result between Race and Louisville and Kansas City in this one tonight here on Twitch.